Welcome back, everybody. So this is week 2 of the Game Time Sports Podcast. Always, I am Caden Simpson. This is Jace Perret, and all of our socials will be on the screen throughout the entire video so that you cannot forget. And if you haven't seen the video that we posted yesterday, of us talking about the possible Justin Jefferson to Kansas City trade, go check that out before you watch this because that was a good one. And it was just a small video just about that topic specifically went pretty well. But today, we have the same sections as usual. So we will have the roundup. So we'll round up everything that happened last week
Mhm.
or in the recent days. All right, so after the roundup, we'll have the what's cooking, what's hot, so our hot take. Just something that happened that we're just gonna give our take on. And then deep under the glass. So just topic, really deep topic. You get deep down and dirty for that one. And after that, we're gonna knock knock. What's that? Or knock knock. Who's there? What's hot? Just the news. So just we got a list of news that's come out in the recent day. Really, most within the last 24 hours. And then around the corner. So what are we looking forward to? Who knows? We'll get there later on in the video. Um, but let's get started with the roundup. Um, our first topic in the roundup is T. Higgins franchise tag. Jace, what does this mean for Cincinnati?
I think this means that they still want to win a Super Bowl so bad. I mean, last year we saw a team fall short due to injuries. Burrow was battling with an injury for a fourth of the year, then missed a half the year. So really, we only got about a fourth of the year of healthy Bengals, and man, they were dominating. I mean, they beat teams like the 49ers and the Buffalo Bills just so handily. They made it look easy. And there was a point last season where it almost looked like a guarantee that the Bengals were probably going to go to the Super Bowl after their big win over the Buffalo Bills to move them to 5-3 on or the 49ers, excuse me, to move them to 5-3 in the year. And what something I noticed is T. Higgins had a down year, really, without having a healthy Burrow all year. He kind of struggled a little bit. I think we're going to see him come back a bit next year. This team's got a lot of draft capital and a lot of cap space. They can make some moves and make their team Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree definitely. So T. Higgins, yeah, like you said, he had a down year last year, but obviously Burrow. I mean, the thing that really sucks about Joe Burrow is their team really started to hit stride when Joe Burrow went down with that season-ending injury. I mean, he was finally starting to um uh heal from his calf injury earlier in the year. And then he obviously had the wrist tendon
Yeah.
tear. So he was out for the year, but T. Higgins still I feel like had a nice year. I mean, he's super athletic. He's
Oh, yeah.
obviously um super talented and unbelievable. Okay, so the Bengals franchise tagging T. Higgins, I feel like that they might be seeing this as their last shot, you
It
know?
could be.
I mean, not necessarily forever, just for the next few years. Just
Mhm.
because obviously you can't franchise tag T. Higgins again. Next year they're gonna have to actually pay him or let him go, but then next year you have to pay Jamar Chase. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know.
Yeah, it does get tough for them because things get difficult. Burrow, and this is before Burrow's contract kicks in. Once his contract kicks in, once you got to pay Jamar Chase, man, salary cap is not going to be easy for the Bengals, and that's one of the few downsides of having that many superstars on offense. You can't pay them all, you can't keep them forever, and I won't be surprised if not this offseason, but next offseason, T. Higgins is out of town.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he'll be there much longer. I mean, I don't even know if he'll even stay and play in the franchise tag. We'll see if he wants to get traded. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe that's news we got here in a few weeks. But we're gonna move on to our next topic for the Wild Up Roundup. Steve Kerr contract extension with Golden State Warriors. What does this mean for the Warriors, Jace?
Well, it means they're just trusting their coach, keeping the same thing around. They still think they can win a championship, but they need some bigs right now. Definitely, the team is old. I don't know if trading Jordan Poole for Chris Paul was a good idea. I mean, yeah, Jordan Poole has been downright horrible on the Wizards this year, but I mean, Chris Paul hasn't really done much either. So, yeah, that trade isn't looking well right now. And I think last they could have kept the core for last year's team, maybe gotten some help with a few
Yeah.
more bigs. And I think they could still definitely be in finals contention. I think they could like make the play in this year, but no, they're not winning the finals.
Yeah, I think it's really good for Golden State. I mean, just to keep this coach, it's been good for you for a while. I mean, been there since 2014. They've won 4 championships under him. And I mean, he won coach of the year in 2016. So he's a really good coach. And it's kind of like if we translated this to the NFL, like, uh Bill Belichick. I mean, obviously he's not there anymore, but I mean, he was there for a long time and
Oh yeah,
he would never only reason he got fired was because of this. It's a new era in the NFL and it wasn't going well. Da, 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 da. That's a story for another day.
yeah.
But point is, he's still coaching at a high level. I mean, obviously, Golden State they're not bad. They're not bad this year. Any
No, they're
means.
not
They're not
bad for
bad,
their
but
standards. They are, but not for like any other teams. Like the, I'm pretty sure the Pistons would be having a parade every day if the team was this good.
yeah, I mean, yeah, like the Pistons. I mean, obviously they're not doing great right now. But
Ooh.
Golden State, but
Yeah,
again, I mean, they have Steph Curry, and that guy's not going anywhere. I mean, he's the best shooter in the history of the sport. And it's just they still have some talent. They can get more talent, but as long as you keep that head coach who keeps this culture of a team together, it can lead to really really good things um for them. And I think it's pretty good for them.
yeah, it is. And I think trying to squeeze one more ring out of Curry is a possibility, not like any desperation or anything. It's actually a possible thing that they can do. We'll just see if they can do it. Now, what do we got next, Caden?
Well, we do have something next, but I'll make one more comment right here.
Okay.
So if Curry gets that fifth ring, what do we say about him in the goat conversation?
Nothing. It's
Let's talk.
still LeBron. It's still LeBron.
All right.
LeBron is
Hey,
still
it's
the
okay.
GOAT.
Hey, we'll bring that up if we get that possibility coming up here in a few months or maybe in the next few years. We'll
Who
touch on
knows?
that.
We'll
But
see.
who
Stay
knows?
tuned for it.
He'll have more rings than LeBron. But what's cooking? What's hot is next. All right. So our topic today for what's cooking, what's hot. Cody Bellinger to the Cubs just signed a 3-year deal. So how does this help the Cubs out right now?
I think it gives the Cubs some more stability and definitely a little bit of star power. Obviously, an MVP, a former MVP, he had a career resurgence. And I think this is just a good signing to help them make maybe a playoff push this year, maybe as a wild card or something like that, because the NL Central is a weaker division, and maybe even they go and win that because the Cubs are looking pretty all right heading into this year. I feel like their rebuilds paid off. They're going to win some games, maybe 85, something around there. And I think this just shows that the Cubs are still determined to win. And that 2016 World Series was not enough. They want more.
Yeah, last year the Cubs won 83 games and they almost won the division. They're a few games out of the playoffs. They got
Right
eliminated
there.
yeah, they got eliminated the last weekend, and a lot of that was because of Cody Bellinger stepping up last year. Obviously, he won the MVP in 2019 with the Dodgers, and then 2020, 2021, and 2022 obviously didn't go as planned. I mean,
No.
a lot of that can be because of the team he played for. I mean, there's a lot of pressure over there in Los Angeles. But going to the Cubs, a little bit of a smaller market team. And
Still
then
huge
last
market, but
yeah, but I'm smaller than the Dodgers.
yeah, oh
The
yeah,
Dodgers are
definitely.
like ridiculous. I mean, spending 700 or over $1 billion on 2 players
Yeah, that's nuts. Doing
in
that in the
one off
span of like
season.
what didn't they do that in the span of like 3, 4 weeks? How close?
You know,
Because I know those things were really close to one another.
it was like they were both within the same like week or something like that. But it's really
So
close.
stupid.
But
So
Chicago
dumb.
isn't a small market, but if we compare it to Los Angeles, it's much smaller.
Yeah.
But I do think it's good for them because obviously last year he played so much better than he's had played in years past, and he can build off of that. You
Oh
know,
yeah, definitely.
his power numbers went up. He struck out less. His average went up. He played better in the field, and he's playing much better. And when he went to maybe he'll get all the way back up to MVP form. I don't know, it might be a
Maybe.
stretch, but we'll see. We'll conclude the what's cooking what a hot take of the week segment. We will move on to deep under the glass. So our first topic for deep under the glass, Jace, this is a big one. We might be talking about this a lot this offseason, but what team can stop the Chiefs three-peat?
What team can stop the Chiefs three-peat? Really, I think there's teams that are like dark horses and obvious candidates. I think the Indianapolis Colts are a dark horse. Their offense could be very, very good next year. I expect them to win that division. As Anthony Richardson showed flashes, if he's even just solid and they get help at the receiver position and the defense improves even just a little bit, that team's going to go probably to the divisional round or possibly even the championship game. That team has a very bright future next year. Obviously, the Cincinnati Bengals are a huge threat for the Chiefs. We know that they can beat them. And my Super Bowl pick right now is actually Bengals versus Packers and another team. Even if the Chiefs do get the Super Bowl, the Packers, Jordan Love, and they finished so hot last year. They have 5 top 100 draft picks. They have a decent amount of cap space heading into the offseason. And I feel like the Packers might jump the lines for the best team in that division. Things are looking good for them. The NFC is just getting weaker. The Eagles don't look that hot anymore. I mean, the Niners are probably going to get worse soon. I think it could be the Packers' year to make the Super Bowl. And I think they could be one of the teams that does stop the Chiefs. And also, I don't think the Bills or Ravens will. I want to add that. I don't think it's going to be the Bills or the Ravens. We've seen it too many times. Mahomes is 4-1 against Lamar and 3-0 in the playoffs against Allen, 4-3 overall. So a combined 8-4 record in 4 playoff wins against those two. I mean, I don't think they're going to stop them this
Yeah,
year.
yeah, and a big point you brought up was the Packers, and the only team last year that kind of really ran all over the Chiefs defense was
That's
the
why I say
Packers.
that.
And I mean, the Chiefs couldn't stop them. Obviously, they only gave 27 points, but they pretty much scored every drive because both
Oh
teams
yeah,
were taking their time and there was turnovers. Da, 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 da. But that was really the only team that ran all over them. So if they meet them in the Super Bowl, who knows? And Jordan Love was playing spectacular last year. He should have
oh
gotten a
yeah,
lot more recognition. I mean, right now I have him as a top 10 quarterback. I mean, that was absolutely
oh
incredible.
yeah. He is.
But
He's
we'll talk about
incredible.
the Packers quarterback situation another day. But on the AFC side, it's really hard. Just because we've seen how the Chiefs have ran through the AFC over the last 6 years.
Oh yeah,
Really, they should have been. They almost went to 6 straight Super Bowls because D Ford offside and Chiefs collapsed in the second half for Cincinnati. So really, I mean, I don't even know because it's really hard. Obviously, we know Cincinnati has done it. And I feel like Buffalo might have a shot just because I think that if they are able to get really good at their whole new offensive identity, where they really stick to running the football. I mean, with big Josh Allen and James Cook, dump offs, passes behind the line of scrimmage, quick passes, stuff like that. Because if they get down in that, but they still will obviously do their deep Josh Allen 70,
yeah,
95 million yard throws. Um, but that'll make those throws open up, make them easier on Allen because people are coming down and stuff. And I think that'll maybe teach him, about the mistakes,
yeah.
um, and help them win games because his mistakes are, why they lose a lot of those games. But obviously, it's Patrick Mahomes, the other side of the field. No matter what you do, you may not come out. And Patrick Mahomes has been the dream crusher the last few years.
Yeah, yeah. And Caden, something that we didn't talk about, which this last minute or so, I've been dying to touch on is we haven't talked about the Texans yet. I mean, they could definitely take Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs down. CJ Stroud was red hot all last year, played great in the first playoff game. And even though his team did lose and only scored 10 points in the second one, that was against a historically great Ravens defense. And he didn't really play bad. I don't think there could have been much more that he could have done in that game for the Texans offense. But he was just incredible all year long. And I think they definitely could be a team if they improve that defense. And if they get some running backs, they're going to be very scary, just like the Colts. That AFC South division's going to be a foot race to the finish line next year.
Well, little touch on the Ravens defense. If like kind of what we saw that kind of separated the Browns and the Ravens defenses, both those defenses were the best top three in the league. And if you look at the Texans played the Browns, they annihilated that defense. They
Oh,
went
yeah.
up and down the
Yeah.
field over and over again, deep plays. They could run the ball. Everything worked.
Yeah.
They
They scored
went,
31 points. I mean,
yeah, and then they go to
they were
Baltimore.
incredible.
They go to Baltimore and only score 3 points, and I
Yeah.
think they got inside the 20 once, or they got on the other
Yeah.
side of the field like once, or something like that. It was a disaster. But I mean, it's a rookie quarterback versus that defense. I mean, you don't really expect much. It's not much of a letdown because I mean, the fact that they even got there is what's crazy. And
No.
yeah, them Colts, Bills, Packers. I don't know, but one of them are gonna have their edge. But if Justin Jefferson comes to Kansas City, I don't think anybody's gonna beat them.
Yeah. Probably, probably not.
Um, all right. So our next topic, in Deep Under the Glass, we have two of them, believe it or not. Bears first overall pick. This could get really deep. What do you think they should do with the overall pick?
Well, Caden, the way I look at it is Justin Fields is going into year 4, right? Never had a winning record. Not once. He's never thrown for 20 touchdowns. And he's been injury prone from time to time. Never had a winning record. I get the team that all 3 years has just not been very good for him. He's shown that he's a great rusher. I think he had over 20 total touchdowns the last 2 years, but not over 20 passing. But I feel like he just doesn't fit that well in Chicago's offensive scheme. Luke Getsy was a horrible offensive coordinator. Let's be frank, and I feel like getting Caleb Williams, new scheme, just starting out fresh in the NFL while Justin Fields goes and gets traded to a team that has like a really good running back room, like Atlanta, like Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson with Justin Fields. I mean, that would be so lethal. And they have weapons too, and they're gonna have a good defense also next year due to the fact that Raheem Morris is now their head coach. So if you're Chicago, I'm saying, hey, Atlanta, give me a couple of picks and we'll give you Justin Fields, and that's a done deal. I got my new franchise quarterback, Caleb Williams, and we're gonna go win some games now.
Yeah. So I do agree with you, but I mean, I could really see them going either way. I could see them. They've said that they're going to keep, or supposedly said that they're going to keep Fields, and Fields supposedly said he wants to stay in Chicago, but obviously it's not his choice. But I think that they take the first overall pick, and they draft Marvin Harrison. I mean, DJ Moore has been trying to recruit him, on the internet, and I just think that that would be a lethal duo at wide receiver with Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore, and then obviously you have Cole Kmet, and then you have Justin Fields, in that run game. Um, so I think they can go either way. I mean, your description was so awesome that I mean, it kind of flipped my thinking, and I think that I mean, really, him going to Atlanta would be better for both sides. But I just what I think they're gonna do is I think they're gonna keep Fields and then draft Marvin Harrison, or
That's
trade
fair.
the first round pick somewhere to get more picks, to help out their team. Um, which is what I think they're gonna do, which I think is gonna happen. But like you said, I think that it'll work out better for both sides if he gets traded to Atlanta, and I think Atlanta would be the best place for him to go. I know other people have said Pittsburgh. I mean, that would also I don't really not
No,
that
no,
wouldn't be too great for anybody. But
that offense is
Atlanta would be
horrible.
perfect. I mean, plus that division isn't very good. I mean, Atlanta almost won the division.
No.
I mean, they were up for the division was up for grabs until the last week of the season.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, they weren't even eliminated from the playoffs in week 18, which they probably should have. I mean, even though the Bucks made the divisional run, they weren't really that great of a team. And if they had to play a healthy and not like screwed up Eagles team, they probably would have lost that game. And something I also want to touch on last is Justin Fields. I don't see him having a year four turnaround match. Like, even if they do get Marvin Harrison, even if the defense is improved, even if he has a better run game, I just don't see much significant improvement coming from him. If you're a quarterback in the NFL nowadays and it's year four and you're not a proven starter yet, you're probably never going to be a proven starter, especially with the team that drafts you. Maybe he has greener pastures in Atlanta. That's why I say he could go there and maybe be good if they have a good run game and it's a new scheme with a new coach. So I feel like that could work out. But the third year with the same scheme and it didn't work the first 2 years, and also you weren't good your rookie year. I just it's probably not going to happen. I know Bears fans love their quarterback, but I hate to break it to them. Caleb Williams is probably the better option.
So, like you said, talking about Justin Fields and how he hasn't performed at a high level the last 4 years, and if they get Marvin Harrison Jr., I honestly, I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, that's really honestly won't really help him because his issues are with him holding the ball and taking sacks and trying to do too much. I mean, don't you getting these more talent in the players you have around you isn't going to help you with that when you have the highest sack percentage in the NFL with over
Yeah.
12%, which is insane. It's awful.
That
And
is
we've seen
that's
it's
horrible.
because he holds onto the ball way, way, way,
No, he won't. He won't.
and
And that's
so
another reason I don't feel like he's going to improve. Quarterbacks who just don't throw the ball away. I mean, a 12% sack percentage. His O line isn't even like some horrible unit that just is like, oh, what am I doing? I just let the defensive lineman
I'm supposed to block
throw.
that guy. I don't
Yeah, what am
know.
I doing here? Was this basketball or baseball? Yeah,
Right.
but like, I mean, come on. He's not going to get much better with that. His pocket presence is awful. He's blind. He can't read a defense. He's not a good quarterback for reading football. He needs to go in an offense where he can just throw check downs to his receivers, maybe air it out once or twice a game, and run the ball a lot, which is Atlanta.
I know he might fit great, but we'll see. Um, and all right, so that'll bring us to the end of Deep Under the Glass. Moving on, we have Knock Knock. Who's there? What's hot? Hey, welcome to Knock Knock. Who's there? What's hot? Let's start off with some NFL offseason updates. Jace, what do you have for us on that?
Well, the running back market is going to be huge this offseason. It looks like Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, and so many other huge names like Austin Eckler aren't going to be on their teams next year. And we could see them with new homes on great teams like maybe Derrick Henry goes to Baltimore. We'll see where that goes. And Josh Jacobs, we consider he goes. Maybe Saquon goes to Houston. That would be incredible. And Austin Eckler, I feel like he could be a nice backup in Kansas City next year because look at it. People are still going to view him as some star running back that's going to go for 1,700 all purpose yards and 20 touchdowns like he was in 2021 and 2022. But he just this year. He was not good at all. He's no speed anymore. He's looking like an old running back, which he is, but I feel like he could be a nice little third down receiving back for a team like the Chiefs, who, if they lose Jerick McKinnon, don't really have that anymore.
Well, so you do talk about the Chiefs signing a running back. So I
Mhm.
actually have a bit of a thing going on here. So DeAndre Swift, that's one of the names you didn't say. He's only 25, and
Mhm.
the Eagles and the Lions didn't use him very well. He obviously
No.
had injury issues in Detroit, but still they didn't use him well. Philadelphia didn't use him well. And when you saw him touch the ball, the moves that he was able to make and the way he's able to get yards is absolutely incredible. And with the Chiefs losing probably Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon, you bring in a guy like D Swift with an offensive mind of Andy Reid. He's going to get the ball, and they're going to use him
Oh
properly.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, and then obviously, I mean, I don't even know if Eckler will have a team next year because I mean, he didn't play very well. He's aging. People aren't going to pay running backs at this
No.
age. He might get a small deal with I
That's
don't
why I
know.
say backup job at Kansas City. What they need him for, good team player, helps out the locker room. I feel like that'd be a really good signing for a team like the Chiefs, maybe even the Buffalo Bills. James Cook isn't a great receiving back, and having a guy like Austin Eckler to help out Josh Allen out of the backfield, help him. I feel like that would elevate their new offensive system a lot, giving Josh Allen just a guy to check it down to a decent amount of time, get 4 or 5 yards. That could
Yeah.
really help them out too.
Well, with having two running backs like that can really change offensive formations and what you can
Oh
what
yeah.
calls you can play. I mean, what plays you can call. Whatever you want to say. Um, but moving on, our next topic is MLB spring training. So we've had some news come in with MLB spring training. Shohei Ohtani made his debut yesterday, or excuse me, on Tuesday, with the Dodgers. He hit a home run in that one. It was pretty electric.
Yep.
Juan Soto last week also hit his first ever home run as a Yankee in those pinstripes. And just yesterday on Wednesday, Yoshinobu Yamamoto had his first ever pitching appearance for the Dodgers. He pitched 2 innings and didn't give up any hits or runs, so he did pretty good. Jace, what are these two stars performing early mean for the Dodgers?
I think it means that they have high aspirations. I mean, they're starting off hot, they're just getting started. I think they're probably going to win the World Series this year. I mean, this is one of the most stacked sports teams we've seen since like the 17, 18, 19 Warriors, with Mr. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and like the Miami Heat with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, all them. I mean, just stupid stacked teams, and this is probably going to go down as one of them. I think this team probably could win the World Series in 4 games, and I think they're going to win 110 games, and I think they're going to lose less than one or less playoff game in every series. I predict them to be the World Series champions flat out. I think this team's just going to dominate all year long.
Yeah, in spring training, they have the best record. They're 5-0, so they pretty much dominated. Right now, with a plus 26 point differential. And that's in the Cactus League. But if we look at the Grapefruit League in Florida, Baltimore is 4-1. So right now they're leading that, but they're tied with the Mets 4-1. Obviously, these records don't matter, but it just kind of looks at the farm systems that these teams have, and
Yeah.
how that matters. And yeah, and then like also if we look at New York, they're 3-2 right now, but the fact that Juan Soto has stepped up and he plays pretty good in those last few games, and Aaron Judge. But if we do go back to the Cactus League, look at the Kansas City Royals, and the reason we're looking at them is because they had one of the best off seasons in baseball. I mean, they besides the Dodgers spending a quadrillion dollars, the Royals as a small market team, they pretty much stole the entire pitching market. I mean,
Oh yeah, they did. They
they
did.
signed like 6 or 7 pitchers. Um, and they're 4-2 right now.
Playing
But
good baseball.
those starters that they signed have played amazing. Their starters haven't given up a run, I think, all postseason, if not the excuse me, their starters have only given up a run in one of the 6 or 7 postseason games, or not postseason, spring training games. Um, and Michael Waka, he didn't give up. He had 2 strikeouts. Versus former team and no runs. Seth Lugo didn't give any runs. Um, Daniel Lynch didn't give up any runs first time. Alec Marsh didn't give up any runs. Brady Singer didn't give up any runs, so it's really good. What is a stabilized bolt? Or excuse me, what is a stabilized starting pitching help out this Royals team?
Well, I think this shows that the Royals are going to be a really serious team this year. I got them winning around 80-ish games. I think they're going to be a pretty good team, but their pitching has really been downright awful the last few years. And I feel like this year things are going to change. I feel like they're going to have one of the better pitching systems in all of the MLB.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they obviously last year had got a whole new pitching coach and a whole new head coach, and I think this is a year for them to really step up. And we saw that they want to win because they put all that money out
Yeah,
there, and obviously signing Bobby Wood Jr. to that 11-year, $377 million contract, which is absolutely absurd.
nuts.
That's not something that happens in Kansas City because the second closest contract to that was a Salvador Perez 4 year, $72 million contract, which is not even close. It's not
No,
even
it's not.
like that contract walks right over that. But that will bring us to the end of the knock, who's there, what's hot, and we're gonna move on to our final segment of the day. Um, Around the corner. Welcome to our final segment, Around the Corner. So, first of all, first thing coming up, the combine is this Thursday through Sunday. The big stars like quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs will be on Saturday. So those are the big ones. Obviously, still everybody else is great. Those guys will be on
Yep.
every different days. But let's get right into the important part of this. So, top 10 NFL free agents, where we're gonna go. We don't have much time left. So we don't have to really give much of a description, just basically where you think they're gonna go. First on the list, Chris Jones. Where is he gonna go?
Chiefs. He's gonna stay in Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a staying Kansas City. I think they're gonna open up cap room for him. He doesn't want to play anywhere else. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Second on the list, QB Kirk Cousins.
I think he'll probably stay in Minnesota. He loves Minnesota. Him and Justin Jefferson are great friends, great players on the field together. They didn't get to see each other much last year. I mean, when Justin Jefferson was injured, he obviously Kirk Cousins was still playing for a bit, and then when Justin Jefferson came back, he had no quarterback, and it'd be fun to see them one or two more for 1 or 2 more years. They've been a really fun duo.
Yeah, I think he could stay in Minnesota because he's done really good. I mean, this season he was an
Yeah,
MVP
yeah.
candidate before he got injured. And I mean, I know they're going to rebuild, but you don't need to rebuild the quarterback position when you have a guy right here, that you can sign who's been with your team for a while. I think that's pretty good for them.
Yeah,
So not Buffalo Bill Josh Allen, but Jacksonville Jaguars Josh Allen. Where is he going?
I think he'll probably stay in Jacksonville. Some of these top free agents are probably going to stay. I feel like, though, if he does leave, maybe Philadelphia could be an option if they free up some cap space. I mean, they could lose Hassan Reddick, which we've heard a little bit of trade rumors about him. And if they do, maybe he goes there. That keep an eye on that. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not, but I would say more than likely he'll stay in Jacksonville, but don't throw Philadelphia out of the equation.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't stay, I think I think he go to a team that needs to build up their defense. A team like
Yeah,
the Lions, they need help defensively.
them too.
Even Philadelphia needs a lot of help on defense, especially at the
Ugh,
linebacker position.
yeah,
Like Philadelphia is a really good team. I think that he could go to because they have some money that they can spend. Somehow I don't even know how it's impossible, but they do somehow. And sign him to really help out that linebacking core, which is awful in Philadelphia. Yeah. Oh, and then next up on the list, Brian Burns from Carolina.
I think he'll definitely leave. I think you said he could. You said Josh Allen might go to Detroit. I think this is where Brian Burns ends up. I think he's going to want play for a good coach like Dan Campbell. Obviously, wants to get very far away from Carolina. He's probably going to go to somewhere like Detroit.
Yeah, I really think that he could end up somewhere like Detroit, you said, or even go over to the AFC, go to a team
Yeah,
like Houston, or even add to those stacked defenses that I mean Cleveland already has, or I mean even go help out, like the Chargers defense.
yeah,
They're gonna need somebody. So I mean, really, any team that needs to add to their pass rushing unit could really take him. And yeah, he's definitely leaving Carolina. I mean, he's done.
yeah.
And okay, so a breakout star from last year from the Ravens, Justin Madubuike.
I think he'll definitely leave. A team that I could maybe see him going to not is maybe the Chargers. If they get cap space, I think they could sign him. That pass rush is getting old. It was weaker. It was a bit weaker last year after the loss of Joey Bosa, even though Khalil Mack had a career resurgence. He isn't getting any younger. Joey Bosa's getting old. I think that could be a good signing for them.
Yeah, I think going to the Chargers could be good for him. But I think that he could also
And also the Harbaugh brothers connection. That's another reason I want to say that the Harbaugh brothers connection.
I'm just kidding. All right, so just continuing through number 6 on our list, we have Christian Wilkins, who played in Miami last year. I personally think that he will stay just because that they already lost a lot of guys on defense, and I think keeping him would help build a little bit something there.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. If Miami can resign him, they should. He's been a great player for them for what 5-ish years now. But a team I think should sign him is the Las Vegas Raiders. That it could bolster that pass rush. You can play him on the inside too. And the Raiders kind of don't have much at the inside right now. Obviously, we saw Tyree Wilson have a bad rookie year, so we don't know if he's going to be good or not. But I feel like getting a proven guy to help out Max Crosby could be super useful. And it's a lot different. The Chandler Jones signing didn't really work out because, well, he was in his 30s and had CTE, which not good, but I think Christian Wilkins would really be a good fit.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be a really good fit for him. Moving on, Antoine Winfield Jr., safety from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Does he stay?
Well, with Antoine Winfield, I feel like he's been so good with the Bucks for so long. He's staying with Todd Bowles, who he's known his whole career. I think he'll stay in Tampa. They have the cap space to do it. They got a big offseason ahead of him. I feel like he'll stay in Tampa for sure.
He definitely could stay, but I feel like he could actually move, and I think you go to a team that really needs help in the secondary position, the Detroit Lions, who also have a lot of cap space, even though they had
Could be interesting.
almost been to the Super Bowl last year, but they have a lot of cap space. Could fit in Antoine Winfield Jr. All right, moving on. Cornerback, Jalen Johnson, Chicago Bears. I think that he is gonna stay, just because the Chicago Bears really want him to stay, and they have a lot of money, and I think
Yeah.
losing him would really hurt that defense.
Oh, yeah. Losing him would be a really weird thing to happen for the Bears. Just terrible event for them. If he does leave for any circumstances, I think he would go to Denver because they need another cornerback to pair along with Pat Surtain. And that defense was terrible for a little bit of last year. And it was good at times, but it could also be exploited sometimes last year when they were playing well for their standards. So I think he could go there, but I think Chicago's, yeah, probably the right option for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. So if we look at our next guy, we got two left. Um, Michael Pittman Jr. So he's not very old, but he is young and he's from Indianapolis and he's a good receiver. Which team you think would impact him best?
I think the Commanders. I feel like giving him to Drake May, having him paired up with Terry McLaurin would be a lethal trio, and I feel like that offense would put up ton, a ton of points, and especially with Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator, things would change there. I feel like that could be very interesting, and shoot me, maybe even Caleb Williams there too. But I think there's also still a pretty decent possibility he will stay in Indianapolis. They have an okay amount of cap space. I think they definitely can sign him if they want to. I think he should probably go to somewhere like Washington, where he'd have another great receiver to be paired up with and a new rookie quarterback, even though Anthony Richardson was a rookie last year. I feel like Caleb Williams and Drake may probably be better than him
Um,
this year.
yeah, I mean, exactly about Washington. I think he's gonna go to Washington. I really do. They have a lot of money. And
Oh yeah,
$71
they
million
have so
dollars in
much
cap
money.
space. You could sign pretty much every guy we've just talked about. And especially Michael Pittman, pair him up with Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel and all those guys, and you could really, especially, I mean, because you're really going to make as easy of a situation possible for a young quarterback, giving him all these weapons, which would really help him out. And then obviously the defensive-minded coach and Dan Quinn, that really help out that defense. But that's
Yeah.
the start. And moving on, our last guy, Daniil Hunter from Minnesota. Does he stay in Minnesota or does he move somewhere else?
I think he's going to the Bucks. The Bucks have an older pass rush. He's an older player. Try and go on a Super Bowl run. Division is weak. Daniil Hunter is the perfect guy on a 2-year deal to have him bring along. Maybe he gets 7, 8 sacks, helps out the pass rush a lot, and leads you in the playoffs. I feel like he could be a great player who's going to go chase a ring, going to pair up with a great defensive-minded head coach in Todd Bowles, a good defensive line and defense already. And also the offense got a lot better last year, despite, having Tom Brady in 2022. They're better with Baker Mayfield. Doesn't make much sense other than the fact that the offense just got used to not having Bruce Arians more. So yeah, I feel like the Bucks would be a really good signing for him. Weak division. Let's say they won 5 or 6 division games and even just go 500 outside of the division, somewhere around that. I think they definitely could be a Super Bowl contender if they get him and bolster up the run game a bit more.
So with Daniil Hunter, I know how earlier you were talking about how Christian Wilkins should go to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think it's where Hunter goes. I think Daniil Hunter goes to Las Vegas Raiders, helps their
Could see it.
helps their pass rush out. Obviously, I mean, if you have Max Crosby and Hunter coming from each side, you're doomed. Those two guys coming at you from both directions. I mean, where are you gonna go? But yeah, that'll bring us to the end of Around the Corner segment, and will actually bring
Yep.
us to the end of the podcast. As always, I'm Caden Simpson. This is Jace Perret. Our socials have been on the screen the whole time. You can check out our podcast and more videos from some more of our content all over on Instagram and TikTok. Both will be Game Time Sports Podcast. You know it's us because when you'll see our faces in 2 purple logo.